Have you ever walked away from a conversation and felt something heavy inside your chest? Not anger, not sadness, but the quiet pain of knowing you betrayed yourself. Maybe you stayed silent when you should have spoken. Maybe you forced a smile when someone crossed a line. Or maybe you made yourself smaller just to keep the peace. The truth is, most people don't lose their self-respect in one dramatic moment. They lose it slowly. Compromise after compromise. Silence after silence. Until one day, they look in the mirror and barely recognize the person staring back. But centuries ago, the Stoic philosophers warned us about this. They taught that dignity is not something the world gives you. It is something you protect. In this video, we will explore 5 powerful Stoic lessons that will help you stop lowering yourself and start standing in your true worth. Stop explaining yourself to everyone. Have you ever noticed how quickly people start doubting you the moment you begin explaining yourself too much? Think about it. You make a decision. You feel it's right. Deep down, you know it's aligned with who you are. But then someone asks, why would you do that? And suddenly, you start defending your life. You explain your choices. You explain your dreams. You explain your boundaries. And the more you explain, the smaller you begin to feel. Your voice gets softer. Your confidence starts cracking. And before you even realize it, you are asking for permission to be yourself. This is one of the quietest ways people lose their power. Not through failure, not through rejection, but through constant justification. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said something incredibly simple, yet powerful. If you wish to be a writer, write. He didn't say, if you wish to be a writer, explain your plans to everyone until they approve. He didn't say, convince people that your dream makes sense. He said, simply write. Because the moment you feel the need to justify your path to everyone around you, you are no longer walking your path. You are negotiating it. And here is the painful truth most people never realize. The more you explain yourself, the more people feel entitled to judge you. When you over-explain, you unknowingly open the door for doubt. They question your motives. They question your timing. They question your intelligence. And slowly, they begin to question your worth. But the real danger is not what they think. The real danger is that you begin to question yourself. You start replaying conversations in your mind. Maybe they're right. Maybe I should rethink this. Maybe I'm being unrealistic. And just like that, the fire inside you begins to shrink. Marcus Aurelius once observed something deeply human. He said it never stops amazing him that people claim to value themselves, yet care more about the opinions of others than their own. Think about that. You can love yourself. You can believe in yourself. But the moment you hand your decisions over to the approval of others, you are giving away the authority of your own life. And the world notices this. People respect quiet conviction far more than endless explanations. Look at the individuals who carry real presence. They don't run around defending every move they make. They don't exhaust themselves trying to make everyone understand. They move with calm certainty. They decide, they act, and their actions speak louder than any explanation ever could. This does not mean you become rude. It does not mean you refuse all feedback, but it means you stop living as if your life is a courtroom where every decision must be defended in front of a jury. Your life is not a debate. Your life is a direction. Not everyone will understand you. Some people will question you. Some will doubt you. Some will even criticize you. And that's okay, because their understanding is not required for your growth. The Stoics understood something powerful. Peace comes from focusing only on what you control. Your character, your actions, your choices. Other people's opinions, those were never yours to control. So the next time you feel the urge to explain yourself to someone who hasn't earned that level of access, pause, take a breath, and ask yourself one question. Do I truly need their approval to move forward? Most of the time, the answer is no. And in that moment, silence becomes strength. Because when you stop explaining your worth, you start living it. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever caught yourself over-explaining your decisions just to make other people comfortable? If this message resonates with you, drop a comment below and write, "I trust my own path." Let that be the moment you stop shrinking and start standing in the quiet power of your own conviction. And stay with me, because the next lesson might challenge something even deeper. The dangerous habit of chasing people's attention and why it quietly destroys your self-respect. Never compete for someone's attention. Let me ask you something that might feel uncomfortable. Have you ever caught yourself trying just a little harder, just to be noticed? Maybe you replied faster than you should have. Maybe you sent another message when the first one was ignored. Maybe you laughed louder, helped more, showed up more, hoping someone would finally say, "You matter." And the worst part? Sometimes it works. For a moment, they notice you. For a moment, they give you attention. For a moment, you feel chosen. But deep inside, something feels off. Because attention that has to be chased never becomes respect. This is where so many people quietly lose their dignity. In the first lesson, we talked about the danger of explaining yourself too much, how constantly defending your choices slowly drains your power. But there is something just as dangerous: chasing people who are not even looking your way. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. If your thoughts constantly revolve around questions like, why haven't they noticed me? What can I do to make them value me? How can I prove that I deserve their attention? Then slowly, your behavior begins to change. You start performing. You try harder. You give more. You bend more. And without realizing it, you enter a silent competition for someone else's approval. But here is the truth that most people avoid. The moment you compete for someone's attention, you have already lowered your position. Because real value does not beg to be seen. Think about the people who command the most respect in any room. They are not the loudest. They are not the ones trying the hardest to be liked. They are often the calmest presence in the space. They listen, they observe, they move with purpose, and people notice them, not because they demand attention, but because they don't need it. Epictetus understood this deeply. He taught that if you truly want to grow, you must be willing to be misunderstood for a time. That means being okay with people overlooking you, being okay with people doubting you, being okay with people thinking you are insignificant while you quietly build your character. Because the right kind of attention does not come from chasing. It comes from becoming. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people in the same room. One person is constantly trying to impress everyone, talking more, agreeing with everyone, trying to stay visible. The other person speaks rarely, but when they do, people listen. Which one feels more powerful? Which one feels more grounded? Which one feels like someone who knows their worth? Exactly. The Stoics understood something that our modern world often forgets. Attention is cheap. Respect is rare. Attention can be given in seconds. A like, a reply, a moment of praise. But respect is built slowly, through consistency, integrity, and self-control. And the fastest way to destroy respect is to chase it. Because people can feel that energy. Even if you never say it out loud, they feel the neediness. They feel the desperation. And whether they admit it or not, it lowers their perception of you. But here is the powerful shift. The moment you stop competing for attention, something changes. Your energy changes. Your focus changes. Instead of asking, how can I get them to notice me? You begin asking a far more important question. Do they even deserve my attention? That single shift changes everything. Suddenly, you are no longer running in their race. You are walking your own path. And something interesting happens. Many of the people who once ignored you begin to notice the difference. Not because you chased them, but because you stopped. But there is still one challenge left. Because sometimes, even when you stop chasing attention, you might still stay in places where you are not respected. And that leads us to the next lesson. The quiet power of walking away. Learn to walk away without warning. There is a moment in life that almost everyone remembers. A moment when someone disrespected you and you felt it deep in your chest. You knew it crossed a line. You knew something inside you said, "This isn't right." But instead of walking away, you stayed. Maybe you stayed because you hoped they would change. Maybe you stayed because you didn't want to lose the relationship. Maybe you stayed because part of you thought, if you just tried harder, things would get better. But deep down, you already knew the truth. They saw your patience, not as strength. They saw it as permission. This is one of the hardest lessons in life, and one of the most powerful. Not every battle is meant to be fought. Some battles are meant to be left behind. In the last lesson, we talked about the danger of chasing people's attention, how constantly trying to be noticed slowly erodes your dignity. But there is something even more damaging. Staying in places where you are clearly not respected. Think about how many people stay in situations far longer than they should. They stay in toxic friendships. They stay in relationships where they are constantly undervalued. They stay in environments where their presence is tolerated, but never truly respected. And they stay for one simple reason: hope that the other person will finally see their worth. Hope that one day things will change. But the Stoics understood something that many people learn only after years of pain. People rarely change because you suffer longer. Seneca once wrote something incredibly sharp. He said to associate with those who will make you better and welcome those whom you can improve. In other words, relationships should elevate both people. If a connection consistently drains your peace, your confidence, or your self-respect, it is not a connection worth keeping. Now here is where most people make a mistake. When they finally decide to leave, they feel the need to explain it. They announce it. They warn the other person. They say things like, "If this doesn't change, I'm leaving." But here is the problem. Warnings often invite manipulation. Suddenly, the person who ignored you before begins to apologize. They promise to change. They promise to do better. They say exactly the words you have been waiting to hear. And for a short moment, everything feels different. Until slowly, things go back to the way they were. Because the change was never real. It was temporary. The Stoics believed that true strength is quiet. Real strength does not need a dramatic exit. Real strength simply moves on. Walking away without warning is not cruelty. It is clarity. It means you have already seen enough. You have already understood the pattern. And you have decided that your peace matters more than their opinion. There is something powerful about silent departure. No argument, no explanation, no emotional speech trying to make them understand your pain. Just action. You step away. And in that moment, you reclaim something that many people lose: your dignity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the best revenge is to be unlike the person who injured you. Think about that. You don't need to insult them. You don't need to prove anything. You simply remove yourself from the environment where disrespect exists. And that act alone speaks louder than any words ever could. Because the moment someone realizes they can no longer access your energy, they finally see the value they once took for granted. But by then, you have already moved forward. This is the quiet discipline of self-respect, recognizing patterns, trusting what you see, and having the courage to step away, even when it hurts. Because staying in a place where you are not valued is the fastest way to forget your own worth. And this leads to the next lesson. Because sometimes the biggest way we lower ourselves is not through people, but through something even more dangerous. The careless way we give away our time. Protect your time like it's gold. There is a silent thief that robs millions of people every single day. It doesn't break into your house. It doesn't take money from your wallet. It doesn't leave obvious damage behind. But by the time you notice it, years of your life are already gone. That thief is careless time. Think about this for a moment. How many times have you said yes when you wanted to say no? Yes to a conversation that drained you. Yes to a request that wasn't your responsibility. Yes to plans that pulled you away from what truly mattered. And every time you said yes, something else quietly paid the price. Your focus, your energy, your future. In the last lesson, we talked about the strength of walking away from people who don't respect you. But sometimes the biggest disrespect in your life comes from something even closer. The way you allow your time to be used. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote something that still hits like thunder today. He said it is not that we have a short time to live. It is that we waste much of it. Let that sink in. Most people spend their entire lives believing they simply ran out of time. But when you look closer, the truth is often very different. They didn't run out of time. They gave it away. Think about how a typical day disappears. A few minutes scrolling. A few minutes arguing online. A few hours doing things you never even cared about. Suddenly, the day is gone. The week is gone. The year is gone. And somewhere inside, a quiet voice whispers, I should have done more with my life. The Stoics understood something powerful. Time is not just a resource. Time is life itself. Every minute you spend is a piece of your existence you will never get back. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly of one brutal truth. You could leave life right now, not next year, not someday, right now. So the question becomes very simple. If your time is your life, why do so many people give it away so cheaply? Why do we stay in conversations that bring nothing but negativity? Why do we keep habits that slowly drain our focus? Why do we allow others to treat our time like it has no value? The answer is uncomfortable. Because protecting your time requires something many people fear. Boundaries. Saying no. Disappointing people. But here is the powerful shift. The moment you start protecting your time, something incredible happens. People begin to respect it. If someone knows you, say yes to everything. They will ask you for everything. But if someone knows your time is limited, they treat it differently. Your presence becomes more valuable. Your words carry more weight. Your life begins to move with intention. Imagine two people. One person is always available, always answering messages immediately, always accepting every request, always sacrificing their own priorities. The other person chooses carefully. They guard their hours. They protect their focus. They give their time only to what truly matters. Which person seems more powerful? Which person feels more disciplined? Which person looks like someone who respects themselves? Exactly. When you treat your time like it is cheap, the world will treat it the same way. But when you treat your time like gold, everything changes. Because gold is rare, and the rarest currency in the world is not money. It is a focused life. So here is a challenge for you. The next time someone asks for your time, pause. Ask yourself one simple question. Is this worthy of a piece of my life? Not a piece of your schedule. A piece of your life. If the answer is no, have the courage to protect it. Because one day, every single one of us will run out of time. And when that day comes, the only thing that will matter is how we chose to spend it. If this message speaks to you, I want you to do something powerful. Write this in the comments below. My time is priceless. Let that sentence be more than words. Let it be a promise to yourself. Because in the next lesson, we will talk about something even more powerful than time. The discipline of silence and the strength of speaking less, but meaning more. Speak less, mean more. There is a moment many people regret long after the words have already left their mouth. A moment when silence would have been power, but speaking too quickly became weakness. Maybe you tried to defend yourself in an argument. Maybe you explained too much to someone who never intended to understand you. Maybe you revealed your plans, your dreams, your next move, only to watch someone doubt you, criticize you, or quietly hope you fail. And later, when the moment was gone, you thought to yourself, I should have said less. This is one of the most painful lessons life teaches. Sometimes, the more you speak, the less powerful you appear. In the previous lesson, we talked about protecting your time like gold, because time is life itself. But there is something else that many people waste just as carelessly. Their words. And words, once released, can never be taken back. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus gave a simple reminder that still echoes across centuries. He said we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, so we can listen twice as much as we speak. Yet most people do the opposite. They speak quickly. They explain constantly. They react emotionally. And every unnecessary word slowly erodes the strength of their presence. Think about the people who command the most respect in a room. They are rarely the ones talking nonstop. They are the ones who observe first. They listen. They take in the energy of the room. And when they finally speak, people lean in, because their words carry weight. But when someone talks endlessly, something strange happens. Their voice becomes noise. Their opinions lose impact. Their presence becomes ordinary. Marcus Aurelius had a rule for himself that was brutally simple. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Imagine living by that filter. How many arguments would disappear? How many misunderstandings would never begin? How much dignity would remain intact? One of the biggest mistakes people make is believing they must constantly prove themselves with words. They think they must defend every decision. They think they must respond to every criticism. They think silence makes them look weak. But the Stoics understood something far deeper. Silence can be one of the strongest responses a person can give, because silence shows control. Control over emotion, control over ego, control over impulse. And in a world where most people react instantly, control stands out like thunder in a quiet sky. Think about this. When someone insults you, what do they expect? They expect anger. They expect you to defend yourself. They expect a reaction. But when you remain calm, when you choose silence, something unexpected happens. You break the pattern. You show that their words do not control you. And that kind of discipline commands respect. There is another hidden power in speaking less. You reveal less of your plans. Too many people talk about their goals long before they take action. They announce their next move. They share their dreams with people who secretly doubt them. They seek validation instead of building results. And slowly, their energy leaks away through conversation instead of action. The Stoic approach is different. Work quietly. Improve yourself silently. Let results speak where words are unnecessary. Because when your actions begin to show progress, people will notice. And you will not need to convince anyone of your worth. Your life will do the talking. There is a calm authority in someone who does not rush to fill every silence. Someone who speaks only when their words add value. Someone who understands that presence is louder than noise. And when you master this discipline, something remarkable happens. People start listening more carefully when you speak, because they know your words are not wasted. They are chosen, and chosen words carry power. So the next time you feel the urge to explain, argue, or react instantly, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself a simple question. Will these words strengthen my presence or weaken it? If the answer is unclear, silence may be the strongest response. Because, in the end, the person who speaks the most is rarely the most powerful. The person who controls their words controls their presence, and that presence is impossible to ignore. Before you leave, remember this. The world will treat you exactly the way you teach it to treat you. Every time you shrink your voice, every time you chase approval, every time you stay where you are not respected, you lower the price of your own worth. But the moment you stand firm, protect your time, guard your silence, and walk away from what diminishes you, everything changes. Respect begins with the way you carry yourself. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, take 1 second right now. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next lesson. And remember, the most powerful person in the room is often the one who refuses to lower themselves.